What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We are seeing a bit of red across the market today. Apart from a few outliers like MNT, Link has been strong recently, OKB, the majority of the market is looking significantly red. And we also just got a Bitcoin breakdown, which we're going to discuss today. So who better to run us through the markets than Paradise? We're going to go through Bitcoin, Ethereum, a bunch of major alts, and try and work out where we sit in the market at the moment, both from a momentum perspective and also, a target point of view. I think there are also some good opportunities starting to open up, and we've got a couple of setups today, which I think are going to be of interest to anyone looking to buy this dip. But you have to do it with caution based on the charts that we're going to go through today. So Paradise, welcome back to the show.
Hey, Miles. Thank you for having me.
We do have a big announcement actually on your front, which I think people are going to be very excited about. So we'll be doing these weekly shows for a little bit of time now, and people have really been enjoying them. Actually, we've been doing it for almost 5 months, and we've finally decided that we want to get more updates out to you guys on the Paradise front. Obviously, the market is super adaptive, so we're launching a new channel. We're going to launch a new channel where Paradise is going to post more regular updates. You'll find a link in the description below. Make sure you subscribe to that channel, because in the next couple of days, videos are going to start rolling out there, and you guys will hear more updates on the trading front. If you're a trader, if you're watching the markets every day, I think it's going to be the perfect place for you to kind of check in and find out more information on the TA side. So firstly, congrats. And I think it's going to be a big new venture for the business and also for the viewers. I think it's going to be amazing to, have more updates.
Yeah, excited. I'm excited to flesh out a lot more educational stuff too. So been training since 2017, accrued a lot of knowledge over that time. And, I share a lot with the group, but there's still plenty more to come out. I think this will be a really good format to do that, as well as the regular market updates and, outlooks and whatnot. Keep in sync with it all.
And there I won't cut you off, so people can stop commenting about that because you'll just be free to go and not be cut off. But just to defend myself on that front, there is like a 1 second delay on StreamYard, which makes it incredibly hard to know when to butt in or when not to because of this like internet thing. But anyway, people won't have to worry about that on the new channel. So link in the description below. Make sure you subscribe. It's going to be great. I'm sure I'll hop on there sometimes as well and chat through stuff with you. But take it away on Bitcoin. There's a lot to go through. So I want to give you a clean run at this.
Yeah, so I guess everyone's been watching this weekly SFP. We swept all-time high. We've had a pretty nasty rejection. You can actually see this like extremely prominent line in the sand on the weekly chart here, which is pretty much 119,500. We just failed to close above that for how many weeks now? Give or take 6 weeks. So just struggling with it, and sort of we're just trapped within this range. So that's the weekly picture. I think from a weekly perspective, I know I harp on about the weekly noodle quite a bit here, but since 2023, we've never had a close below it. So that's kind of my barometer in the sand for deep value. If we get a pull back into it, we start to lose this range low. I think, the next sort of level down I'm looking at is this big weekly demand here, which actually lines up with the weekly noodle. We can see, zooming back, we've done it before, but every time we've bounced into the weekly noodle and had this deep wick into it, it's generally just a wick. We've never closed a body below it. And it's just been a really strong trend level, dynamic trend level on the way up. So, sorry, dynamic support level, I should say. So if we do get a deeper pullback here off this weekly SFP, I think that's the level to watch. It's around 106K. Sorry, just let me make my numbers a bit bigger quickly.
Also on the new channel, people also complain about the quality on StreamYard. We're going to be using OBS, so you'll also have higher quality charts there.
Yeah, indeed. So just what I'm looking for now, if we get that pullback, I think this is where, I will be loading the house, so to speak. Just because it's been proven so many times as dynamic support level, I have to just trust the system and trust it will remain that way. If it does not, if we start to lose that, then I have to, consider that the very high time frame trend has shifted, and then we can sort of play it by ear. But also, if you go back, we won't do it now, but
basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Since the cycle started, since we flipped out of that range low down here in 2023 in January, every retest has been a bullish one. It's generally led by an SFP into it. Those SFPs generally mark the bottom of that sweep before the new leg up, and that's generally we're seeing the most sort of capitulation and people freaking out in the timeline. So some sort of nasty flush down into that. I wouldn't be bearish, although I dare say a lot of people would. But this represents deep value to me down here. In terms of the local time frame, so if we go to the daily, you can see
hopefully we don't go down there from an altcoin point of view, because that'd be bad. So these trends that we're about to show now, I think, are super important.
Yeah. So right now we can get rid of this for now. So when I have stuff lower, I just get rid of it, because then it sort of makes me second guess the current levels that are in front of me. Something I learned from someone a long time ago. You can mark out levels well above and levels well below, but they kind of just add more noise to your process. So I generally like to just delete everything and just like have the levels on the chart that are at hand and that are actionable. So as we can see here, we swept those highs, as I mentioned. Now we're at this daily demand in here, and this is quite a key level. But if we start to lose that, I'm just looking for basically to get some sort of sweep of the low and a reclaim of that. But get that sweep and a reclaim of it, I think this would be, we're at a 10 to long, trying to play another range rotation. This could just remain a range for longer than you can remain solvent, as they say. So I'm just going to treat it as a range until then. We break out above it, we start a new fresh trend leg. We break down below it and accept below it, then we just start looking for the weekly picture. But until then, we can actually just zoom into the H4. From a local trend perspective, I just think where we're at now, we respected the noodle very well on this bounce on the run up into all-time high. Every bounce was bought up quite quickly. Once we did an SFP, we just nuked through it, big daily bearish engulfing candle. And you can see, like, if I switch the line chart, it's a pretty clean line in the sand. Like, each retest was bullish, and now we're seeing each retest is bearish as we go under it. So for me right now, I want to see that flipped in the interim. Now, I'm looking for divergences to form down here. So we just swept Monday's low. I'd like to see that reclaimed as sort of a first breadcrumb that maybe we're going to push up. This red level here at 116,700. It's basically the structural shift. We rejected off it overnight. This is where you want to see flipped, because if you see the confluence of the two levels here, you've got the noodle lining up with this level. Basically want to see that structure flip there, and then we can start attacking this high and this high. But kind of how I'm playing it now is we need to see a big push of momentum. Otherwise, I'm just going to play everything level to level. So that would be the first level to claim. And we're looking at this high up here. I'll look at that for the second level to claim. We do that. I think it's pretty much thin air up into all-time high again, or at least the range high, I should say. In terms of ETH.
Just quickly on Bitcoin, it's also lining up, as you said. It's not only a trend breakdown, but it's also following this channel. And it's basically been reacting. I mean, even on the H4, like, it's reacted twice to this mid-range here. So it's interesting. It seems to be paying more attention to this than like the flat horizontals that I had. So I've kind of shifted to this mindset. I've also got the noodle here on the H4 for this breakdown. So like, you'd expect a reaction here that also lines up with your zone. Maybe some sort of push up, but if it makes another lower high, rejects off the noodle again, then it's probably going to make a lower low, and then you start targeting these. It's like 111 area, and then that's your last support until that probably weekly level, or I don't know. Things might get ugly there. It's not worth thinking about yet, but for now, we're probably looking for a reaction here, and then seeing how strong that reaction is. If that reaction's weak, you actually probably want to use that as maybe a de-risk zone. But Ethereum, which I know you're about to show, is an interesting discussion right now, because it also looks weaker, but it, to me, is the stronger horse if we do get a rally, because Bitcoin, and I'm actually releasing a thread on this later, has kind of stalled in terms of the new treasury bid with Saylor, whereas Ethereum still has a lot more sidelined capital, like 27 billion from Tom Lee and the others, that is still sitting, waiting on the sidelines, which I think is propping up the buy demand a little bit more. So I actually think if Bitcoin's exhausted for now, Ethereum is a little less exhausted, but it's clearly still showing signs of weakness on the chart as well. So if I was going to long anything on a bounce, it'd be ETH, not Bitcoin right now.
I think Ethereum makes for the better buy and the better chart. We can even just look at ETH BTC just to gauge. We are starting to lose that high time frame trend. So on the last stream, not going to go over it again. We've basically cleared that big high volume node, and now we've pushed up. Obviously, you'd expect some sort of a pullback. This thing doesn't just go up forever. It's done a momentous run in the last month. But you can see the H4 trend has been respected quite well on the way up, and now it's starting to lose it. We had a bearish backtest overnight. If this does trend down, I'd expect it to potentially come down and test that level that we cleared. But I just think in terms of intraday or sort of intra-week, it's just sort of a nicer looking chart to trade at the moment. So we can have a look at ETH. I'm gonna have to pull channels back up. I used to trade them a lot, and I haven't for a while. But I was just looking at your chart then, and you just look at like when the channel high is lost, it's just perfect confluence of the noodle. The channel bottom of yours was basically the 112k sweep level I'm looking for in BTC. So yeah, it looks pretty good. In terms of this, it's also lost H4 trend. We actually didn't retest H4 at all. We had this first reclaim retest here. This retest was very, very bullish, sent us up into almost all-time high before rejecting. And now, the first actual tag of the H4 noodle, we didn't really show much reaction. If we had a bit of this, like this push up, which just clipped into the supply zone before selling off. But right now, effectively, if you want to draw this as a range, I know I've got a bit of stuff here. We're in an H4 demand currently, is what this is. But if you just want to draw this as a range right now, this is a range low. We came up and tried to get back inside overnight. It was rejected by the range low and the 4-hour noodle. So for me, it's just another one of those things. I've just marked out a structural shift on the H1 here, so I can get rid of that. But effectively, I just want to see it close back up here. So it's like 43.7, give or take. Reclaim that, and I think we can push up into new highs. But I think until then, we probably might just chop under here. What I think makes for quite a nice setup and something I'm going to hunt a fresh long on potentially. We have this big pocket of equal lows down here. You can see we've got quite a few. We've also got a 4-hour imbalance in there. So if we get a sweep into that, I'm just looking for some sort of reclaim of that level or a divergence to form in there to get maybe an earlier entry. But I just think, this is where I have alerts. This is where I'm aiming to take a long. But right now, it's always just the same thing with me. It's just two scenarios. I want a long down here or I want to potentially long a flip of that. If we start to reject off this again, potentially going to take a short from that down into this. This will be the target unless it's swept first. So if this gets swept first and then we push up, I'll have to sort of decide what I want to do with that short thesis. But I think, shorts are kind of more favorable for now intraday on a bunch of stuff just because of how the structure shifted. You can see market structure and trend, they're both flipped bearish now. So just need to treat it as is for now. Unfortunately, the shorts keep happening in NY session.
I don't leverage short the market, but you will. Obviously, you're a trader. You just trade on the charts, right? I'll look to offload some spot. That's more my version of shorting, which is the same thing. Shorting is just selling, just on futures. But you're a trader, so it makes complete sense. You just trade the trend, right? You'll probably make a lot of money in the bear market as well if you adjust your system and just follow the same system 100%. In reverse.
And shorting with the noodle is the best thing because once you see it respected on the way up, this ETH isn't the best for the 4-hour, but we'll get over some alt charts in a bit. When it's really respected on the 4-hour on the way up, or any time frame, whatever time frame respects it the most, we saw it in BTC just then. It was respecting the noodle on every bullish retest. When you start to see that shift and it starts to get rejected of every bearish retest, it's a fairly good line in the sand to hunt a short when you've got other POIs around it. So for right now, like if we're looking for shorts on this, there's a really nice FVG in there we could target. It lines up the range low. But yeah, the problem I'm having lately is NY session, I'm asleep, and that's when these shorts keep happening. So I don't really leave limits before I go to bed because I like to manage stuff live on market order and whatnot. I'm just not getting the opportunities because it keeps happening.
You don't sleep.
Yeah.
You don't sleep if you have limit orders overnight.
Yeah. This was like 3 a.m. for me, so there's no hope, unfortunately. But yeah. If I get the setup in my session, I will.
There's an interesting level at the 4K zone, which I think is like a bit of a line in the sand, so to speak, where like what you don't want to see is a weekly close below. So we might deviate for a little bit, and like your chart also shows there's a key area of interest there. But if we start closing below, that's like bad news for me. Like for me, that's the risk on line in the sand. Like just generally speaking, from a spot point of view, we have slightly different strategies, but I would be looking. I'm a buyer of dips on alts if they line up with the correct levels, as long as Ethereum's above 4K. If we start closing below, I'm going to have to make some tough on the weekly. That is, so it's still going to be 3 weeks off. But if that did happen, I would have some big decisions to make. That's basically the bottom line. But until then, I'm not worried.
The good thing about trading level to level, right, is if we do close under there, you can cut your positions. And if we do indeed get back above with some force and reclaim some trends in lower time frame, you can class this as deviation, and then you have more credence to enter back into the positions. And it also acts as a nice portfolio rebalancing thing, because often those positions you cut, when price reclaims key levels, you'll find you often don't take those positions again that you were in.
You take better ones, stronger ones.
Yeah, you sort of like, okay, I was holding on to this because of like a more sort of psychological reason. But now, just from a pure structure standpoint, I'm no longer interested in this because there's stronger horses in the market that look like they'll offer better returns. So it's not such a bad thing. And this is what's great about level to level. As I said, if it's a deviation and a reclaim, that's a sign of strength, and you can sort of go back into the market and be a bit more risk on.
Yeah, great point.
All right. We won't cover pair charts today. I will probably cover them on the next show that I do solo. We're basically seeing BTC dominance drop a bit. Just go over this quickly. So BTC D chart, this green line has been the bullish trend line in the sand since we started forming it back in 2023. Also, the weekly noodle has been an excellent barometer for that. This was that cruel move down that we all thought was alt season. Basically reverted straight back up, reclaimed the weekly trend, and kept carrying on with BTCD. Now this time we tried to reclaim it and we got rejected off it, and we're not really having the same reaction. We've also got this other trend line, which is probably less strong in my opinion. Maybe we bounce there. We are seeing some 4-hour divergences into that, but nothing much to action yet. But when I start to see dominance drop off, I go and start charting alts against BTC. So I've got a bunch of pair charts to go over tomorrow on the weekly time frame, or whenever I do that show. Might be tomorrow or the next day. And yeah, I just think there's some liquid high caps that are looking really good on the alt BTC charts. So we'll get to that. But
sub to the new channel, because that'll be probably a solo show tomorrow or the day after. And that is a great strategy, by the way. Charting versus Bitcoin and Ethereum right now, it just makes so much sense because you'll go in the markets to beat Bitcoin or ETH. Otherwise, you could just be in Bitcoin or ETH and take on less risk. So you want to be in the alts that are actually showing A, strength, or B, reacting to key levels versus Bitcoin. So it's a great show. I'll be watching that one. Tell me about Solana, because this one had started to show some strength, but has come off a little bit over the last couple of days.
Solana was actually one of the pair charts I had added to my watch list. And just seeing stuff like this, we start to see dominance drop off, and we start to see things like, Solana's trapped under this monthly level. Now, this could well be a deviation if we reclaim this, because we have the weekly noodle there lining up with the monthly. So that's monthly support resistance. Very nice confluence. If we start to flip that, this basically deviation, I think, Solana will push up quite heavily. So I've got a bunch of stuff like this and like INJ on Doge, some things I haven't even looked at for years really, but like against BTC, they're starting to look very good. They're either bouncing off very high time frame support, which has been, the catalyst for their runs in the past, or they're reclaiming key levels, which have been trapped under for quite a while. But we will save that.
Do you trade pairs on Binance? Like, do you actually trade the BTC pair on futures, or do you you can also manually do it, right, with short long ratios, or do you just use that for confluence on USD?
I use it for a read. So yeah, I don't actually trade them just like that, but I use it for portfolio rebalancing a lot. So if we were to type in, Arbitrum versus Pepe chart right now on USDD pairs, it's just relative strength. So if I see like a run, let's just pretend that is this chart. If I see a run like this, I'm saying, all right, Arbitrum is the one to be in. If we start to do a big sweep and top out, and then we start to see this drop down, then I can rotate into Pepe. Say they're just the two coins I want to be in. And you can actually maximize your gains in any market just by doing the rotation based on relative strength by pulling up pair charts. So that's been a big focus of mine lately. I've been did a whole 1.5 hour stream on that the other day in the group, just going over stuff, what relative strength is, why it's important. Because a lot of people, let's just say this is the Arbitrum Pepe chart, they'll get up to here and they've got massive gains, and then they'll just hold Arbitrum all through this, even though Pepe is outperforming it. You can do this with any, you make exotic pairs for anything really. But what you can do is just do that rotation, then you're maximizing your gains. And then when this bottoms again, say we did this sweep here and starts to push up, you can rotate back into Arbitrum and catch that leg up. So it saves you through holding through a lot of drawdown and, a lot of unrealized P&L sort of vaporizing, because that just plays tricks on your mind when you start to see that stuff, unless you have like diamond hand conviction. But yeah, that's all I use it for, just sort of confluence in what I want to trade, what I want to be in, what I want to hold spot in, and just how I can sort of grow my portfolio tenfold instead of suffering too much drawdown. Now, let's get into Sol quickly. So Sol, very clean range on the 4 hour. This was a big old deviation down here. Got the very nice reclaim, had a perfect retest of it in line with the 4 hour noodle. Right now we've shifted structurally on the 4 hour. We did that up here, failed to make a high, so we made another lower high. Now we've made a new lower low. There's no divergences forming down here yet, to my knowledge, nothing. So what I'm looking for now is this order block right at the bottom of the range. I think this is worth, having a stab at around 176, just because of like the sheer reaction on volume we had off that move straight into clipping this 208K level. And also, if we're in a range, we just need to treat it as a range. We're rotation until proven otherwise. We break below it and start accepting down here, then we probably trend lower. But if we have a nice bounce there, sort of start reclaiming H1 structure, H1 noodle, then I think that makes for a nice attempt. I'm sort of like mid time frame, low time frame bearish at the moment, just purely based on market structure and the flow of the trend. But high time frame bullish because no structure has been broken yet, and everything looks generally good. And a lot of stuff is testing daily noodles, 3-day noodles, weekly noodles. So I can't be bearish on high time frame, but I think just as we play this range, we just sort of ranges on things. There's a lot of stuff looks like this. We just need to go with the trend, and at the moment, it is like shifting down on a lot of stuff.
So what are some alts that you're? Yeah. So what are some? I was literally going to ask, like, what are some alts that you're looking at? Because there's one that I like, and this is the ENA chart on the daily. So we did speak about this in last stream. There's like this confluence of daily noodle and this level here, this cluster. You probably draw it better than me at like 60-ish cents. That we're almost going to hit that level. That's a level I'm interested in. My Pengu trades on its last legs, but that also was a chart that I was looking at quite heavily. This one here on the it's still technically okay. It's on H4, but you do want to see some sort of reaction here. But I'm still in that trade. Stop loss is well below this wick here, so I've got myself a little bit of wiggle room there, but it's looking weak. But these are two that come to mind because they were showing strength before and are now heading into key levels. So maybe recapping them, giving your take, and then looking at some others that have some similar like dip buy kind of setup scenarios right now.
Yep. So I have a similar level on ENA, and it's a really nice inversion FEG. Basically, what that is, when you get an FEG, you get the big push up, and if you get a move down straight after, and it basically engulfs it, you get this gap between the two, which you generally see a decent reaction at. If you know like what a breaker is, kind of like the ICT stuff, you can basically treat it as like a breaker for FEGs. But I'll save that for my show. But yeah, basically that level you're marking out around 60 cents is kind of where I'm watching. It's just this little white box in here. We have the daily noodle there. We have not yet tagged the daily noodle since we broke out. So this big breakout down here, we've not had one retest of it. It's always the first test, best test. We are very, very close to tagging it here. So I think some sort of flush down into that like 0.62 levels where I start paying attention is good. And we also, as you said, have that daily demand level just under it. I think from a 4-hour perspective, it's a really nice chart, a really nice range to trade at the moment. Actually, that inversion FEG I'm talking about was actually on Link, which we'll get to in a sec. I have this 4-hour supply marked down here just because it lines up with the top of the daily noodle. Have this like big spike in the high volume node there too. I am actually looking for a short on this potentially. I may have missed it. It might not have quite given the perfect range high retest. But at the moment, I'm just trading ENA as a big deviation of the range high. We accepted below the noodle on the H4. And what I'm looking for now is some sort of retest of the range high and the H4 noodle to potentially take a short just into that level around 0.62 down to 0.6. Because, I don't think this actually runs for the range lows. There's quite a bit of bids still in it, like quite a lot of interest in it, I should say. But yeah, it did have a phenomenal run up. We can't expect things to go up forever, right? So we need to expect some sort of pullbacks. And I think this is just where you don't zoom in too low. If your thesis is on a higher time frame, like this was such a good push up, and you're looking for some sort of reset of momentum, like Effector are about to reset the RSI 50 here, which will line up with the daily noodle. This is where I want to start paying attention for a bounce and look for breadcrumbs that are happening in lower time frame. So yeah, just in terms of like the 4-hour, I think this level here at around 0.62 down to 0.6, which is where you're watching also. It's also the range EQ, the middle of the range. If we hold above that, we're still, effectively bullish. We start to lose it, I may consider us going down to the range low, but until then, yeah, I think it's a good line in the sand to maybe look for a reaction at. Pengu I don't have. I did not see much reason to long it on lower time frames, chart it on lower time frames, but I can pull it up if you want.
Let's look at Link. I think Link's probably the one people want to know about more because that's been one of my big, one of my big trades. Got the sneeze bug. One of my big trades over the last couple of weeks.
My two favorite setups right now are Link and Hype, just for the midterm ranges we're in. This is that inversion FEG I was talking about. So you can see we have an FEG in here, created this nice gap, and it also stems into this other FEG here. As I said, I won't go over the nuances, but we are testing 4-hour trend. Could potentially see a bounce here, but at the moment, this is a deviation of the range high, right, on the 4-hour time frame. Now, if we start accepting back above this with some gusto and we start reclaiming lower time frame trends, I'll potentially look for a trade up into the highs. Whether we go higher remains to be seen. I'm not looking for a short, but I really want to catch something down in this level here. You can also see this massive volume inefficiency in there. So around 23.50, give or take, 23.25, I think it was. This is a really nice line in the sand to watch, and where I have a bunch of alerts, and I've got them on loud, so if they go off when I'm asleep, I'll be waking up for them. But yeah, just in terms of where it is now, I think it's a really good level to watch.
So you actually wake up in the middle of the night on the loud version?
It depends. Like I set alerts for things. It's just things I don't want to miss. I like you said, I can't go to bed with limit orders. It's not so much I don't sleep well, I just don't like not having control over stuff. I'm very much a reactive trader. Like I plan for levels, but when it hits a level, I don't just blindly limit it in. And that's that right side of V theory I always talk about. Let's just say you have limit orders here at this the inversion FEG I'm talking about. Price comes into it. Price might go down there before recovering. So this is sort of the right side of V, as they say. You're basically taking a trade at exactly the same level you originally planned to, but you're taking it in line with momentum. And once you do that, you actually have a bottom that's printed, so you know where your invalidation is. That's why it makes it such a strong way to view like trading. But yeah, that's also the reason why I'm not great at setting limit orders unless they're sort of stink bids for spot and stuff.
Yeah, because you need to see how the market reacts. And that's something that I've changed recently as well. I get asked sometimes in the Discord, like, oh, Mars, where's your stop loss? It's like, all right, this is theoretically my stop, but it all depends on how it looks on the day, how Bitcoin looks, how Ethereum looks. So having blanket stops, it's good. I think if you don't have invalidations and you go from that to adding stops, that's a great upgrade. But if you want to upgrade again to the next level, then it's having like variable stops where you have an idea of where you'd exit, but it's dependent on X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, I do lots of manual invalidations, and a lot of them just come from a body close below a noodle trend. If I get that and structure is shifted, structure supports it, then I'm generally sort of out of the trade. And then we get the reclaim, I'm back in. Take a small haircut, There's nothing wrong with that. Everyone needs to take losses in trading. Hype right now, Hype's been, this is a really nice move on the H4, on the daily off these lows. Now we have this big pocket of inefficiency here. We come down into that. It also lines up with, effectively, this is the range low. Had a nice bounce there before deviating below, got the reclaim. This would effectively line up with a retest of the range low into this inefficiency I want to see filled. And then we have a very juicy target of these equal highs up here at around 49.89, which is that psychological $50 level, which obviously got front run. And this is where I was taking profit on this trade, on this initial hit up here that I was holding from lower. Just because they're approaching that big round number, you have to expect some selling. So very nice reaction off it, but now we're front run, we're left equal highs, so it just makes it a really nice setup. So this is high on the radar. I've also got alerts for this. LTC, another one I'm watching, and this is just more. I generally chart daily stuff with you because we have a lot of investors and stuff, people that don't want to trade. But I just think for right now, we look at the daily noodle. Yeah, stuff is coming into the daily noodle, which has historically been good support. So we need to start going to lower time frames and look at the setups around it. So, either don't just blindly buy stuff on a daily noodle retest unless it is spot. LTC, I'm not looking to pick up spot.
Unless it's long-term spot or like mid-term spot. That's then you can do it.
Exactly. So in terms of what this is right now, riding the 4-hour trend up, we lost it, bearishly rejecting of it. It's just the same format again and again. That's why the noodle's such a good indicator to use. It's very reliable. For just when you find a time frame that respects the noodle, you stick on that time frame because it's showing respect on the way up. Yeah, I'm building a new one, the Pro version, which is a complete trend following system. So I'm spending tomorrow fine tuning that, and then I'm going to upload it to WAP.
Nice. So if you're in MHC,
where we're at right now,
link in the description below. That's coming very soon, in the next few days. I'll give you a buffer. Could be tomorrow, but I'll give you a few days.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I'm not the best coder, so we'll see. But
also, the channel launch as well, so give yourself some leeway.
Good point.
With both those things.
I'll do my best. LTC, excellent range we're in. We've just swept this key low over here, so there's really nice range low sweep. effectively have a deviation under it. We actually close back inside. So right now, all I'm looking for is just your very standard price action setup. I just want to see a market structure break in to clear these highs out and then look for some sort of pullback into like a demand or an FEG, whatever it gives. This effectively could be a breaker here if we just propel through it quite strongly. In terms of divergences, I actually think it was the H4 I was seeing something on. Yeah, so I'm seeing a 4-hour awesome oscillator div, nothing on the RSI yet. But in terms of, nothing on the RSI, but the AO looks quite good. So all I want to see is that structure break. And that's why I don't just bid these things blindly. If I'm not seeing divergences there to give me an early entry, I want to see some sort of structure break in order to claim that. Now we see the H1 noodle's also been quite respected. That would line up with the flip of the H1 as well as breaking structure. And then, look for that pullback. That structure break was around 118. Pullback, we don't know until that POI forms on the thrust up. And once again, it's just the right side of V thing, right? Like if we just bid here, we don't know if this just comes up a bit, rejects, and then accepts under the range, keeps going down. So this will just keep you out of trouble 9 times out of 10. ADA was looking interesting.
Cardano.
Once again, in the 4-hour range. Yeah, I haven't traded this thing for a long time, but it has been showing strength lately. I've just noticed like there's no bid for memes or AI or anything at the moment. It's all the liquid high caps people are gravitating towards. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's because of the treasury thing, I think. It's the treasury, like, Bitcoin, ETH, Solana. AI and stuff will only run when there's real retail interest. And this run, and I spoke about this yesterday, has been more triggered by treasury and ETF flows than it has retail flows, which are still extremely low. And that only will happen at the very end of the cycle. So the AI stuff for me is going to be an amazing trade, but I just refuse to buy it now. I already have some bags of AI. And I've added a few things here and there recently, but rebalanced against other cells, so not increasing net exposure. But when AI comes back, I'll trade it because it'll be an amazing trade. It's just like, how long do I have to wait? Like months potentially in these positions that are just gonna like wig me out mentally. So that's my approach with it. With things like AI and gaming, which might run, but we just have no evidence yet. But I hope
that's it. I'm happy to buy.
Great trade.
Yeah, so do I. I'm happy to buy much higher. Well, not much higher. Happy to buy higher. I think like we're not going to see the trickle down effect into these more speculative alts until maybe BTC clears new highs again. That's when people have the appetite to bid. Obviously, we had a weekly SFP of all-time high. We had ETH just sort of front run the all-time high level before selling off. Naturally, people, if they know what they're doing, shouldn't be like full risk on here. They should be sort of more in capital preservation mode. And you can see in the charts, people acting more skittish. It makes sense. So until we see like the sort of, rising tide lift all boats thing, you're not going to see those things pop off, in my opinion. And if you're a value investor and you think something's down at like key levels is worth picking up, that's fine. That's not my approach, just because I don't like holding stuff underwater and unsure if it's going to do well. I kind of just want to buy the strength. But yeah, in terms of ADA, holding the 4-hour noodle really well. Get rid of that for a sec. I think this makes for a really nice range trade. If I go down to the 2-hour, I think it was. Yeah, so we have like I need my, you can see this big volume inefficiency in here. I'll just remove the box for a sec over on the right-hand side. I've got a big gap in there to fill. So that's like a 2-hour imbalance. Also, what I'm looking for, one of my favorite setups, and a lot of people trade this, is where you get a sweep of the range low and it sweeps into a POI before reclaiming the range low. So that's the trigger I'm looking for now. It looks quite strong, sort of holding the 4-hour noodle at the moment. I'm going to get rid of this ridiculous looking arrow. But yeah, so just something to watch. If we get down to like 0.88, I think this could, where a level you want to start paying attention, which I haven't set an alert for yet, which we'll do now. In terms of what you're just talking about, I think INSP is quite a good chart. This is like the Tau beta, right? If I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
This has just been having a phenomenal run since July. And you can see like all these daily noodle tags have been quite strong, but a very strong reaction off them each time. Now, if I just get rid of all this for a sec, you can see that, you can see we've had this really nice SFP of the lows, this bullish pin bar candle on the daily. So if we actually go down to the 4-hour, I think it was the 2-hour I was looking at, and get rid of the noodle here. This is a really clean setup. So we basically, that SFP was a deviation of the H4 range. We reclaimed that quite bullishly. We left this nice and balanced behind. You can see also the range EQ is capping price. This is a chart I posted earlier on Twitter. The range EQ is like a very sort of strong line in the sand that prices can't get over. But I think potentially if we sweep down to here, it's worth hazarding along, looking for a flip of that. Maybe you want to take partial profits into that. I think we flipped the EQ. Highs are on the cards for sure, and potentially beyond. I just think it's a bit difficult right now with everything downtrending, but this is showing sort of outlier strength. So that's why it came on my radar this morning.
Has been very strong. I think the only thing with this is that for me, I'm sticking to spot because the Wix, I don't know if it has, I think it does have futures on other markets, but since it's low, slightly lower cap than like, Chainlink or something, for me, better to stick to spot here.
Yeah, it's pretty violent. This is the MEXC chart, by the way, which is famous for its long wicks. But maybe a spot buy for me too. I mean, even if you caught a spot buy down there into the range lows up to the highs, still like a 65% move. And being low cap, like 65% can be done in a day, as we've seen plenty of times here. That one's on the radar. Other than that, not much to go over. Pretty much covered everything.
I think that's it. We'll save some stuff for the other video, especially the pair chart comparisons. So make sure you do subscribe. Link in the description so you're ready for that channel launch. We might also do a little fun like launch giveaway or something. So that'll be for anyone that's already subscribed. So make sure you do sub. And that'll be exciting. So we'll see you guys over there, I guess. Thanks for coming on Paradise.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, came for the new channel. I'll see you guys there. Cheers.
See you later.